Good morning. Good morning, the royals. Good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning to the liberated zone of Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore. Liberated zone of Mali, led by President Asim Goita. Liberated zone of Niger. All these are colonial lands under the French colonial masters. Good morning to the liberated zone of South Africa, KZN, under the leadership of the MK Party, President Zuma. Good morning. This is a British colony, South Africa. My name is Mngoni Mkonto, and this is the royal opinion. We're in the royal opinion. The land is British South Africa, colonized by the British since in the 1800. Since they arrived in 1600, colonized by, for more than 500 years now, South Africa under colonial rule. Other politics happening this week, politics happening in South Africa. Before we address the actual topic that we want to talk about today, other politics happening in South Africa. Uh, uh, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane joins the MK party and appointed the convener of the MK party in Mpumalanga, meaning what is expected of her is to build the MK party in Mpumalanga. Senzo Munu appoint Senzo Willis Mkunu, sorry, I beg your pardon. Willis Mkunu also joined the MK party from the ANC, as well appointed as the I'm not more sure if I'm actually live about. I'm not even sure if I am actually live. Let me check if I am actually live on the other side. You just wanna see. Happening on local politics. Tebogo Mukwele, the lady who was once suspended or expelled from the EFF for receiving a bribe from Cyril Ramaphosa, is back in the EFF and in parliament, happening in local politics. Advocate Mkhwebane joins MK party and become Pumalanga convener. Willis Mkunu, one of the people who started with the administration of KZN in 1994, as well joined the MK party and is made the convener of the MK party in KZN. Today, we're talking about the reason President Putin has banned the LGBT movement as propaganda in Russia. I know this type of topics are very sensitive, and this type of topics are not allowed by, actually, we're not allowed to discuss this type of topic on YouTube, but in any way, I am discussing the issue. Vladimir Putin bans the LGBT movement and label it an extremist organization and a propaganda movement. Today, I want us to have a look at the reason why Vladimir Putin bans LGBT community and label them as extremists in Russia, an extremist organization. And joining such an organization or showing symbols that represent such an organization is a criminal offense in Russia that would land you in jail at the end of the day. You may end up in jail. So today I want to talk about the reason why President Vladimir Putin decided to ban this LGBT movement and label it as an extremist organization. Let me share this video and then we will talk about this video.
In this year's annual letter, Melinda and I take the toughest questions we get asked and give our answers. One that's come up for a long time is, as we make the world healthier, is the population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible. Here we can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary. We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today is happening even faster. So Melinda and I wondered whether providing new medicines and keeping children alive, would that create more of a population problem? What we found out is that as health improves, families choose to have less children. And this effect is very, very dramatic. We find that in every country of the world, this is repeated. The population growth goes down as we improve health. So we've taken that chart that shows the global population growth, and we've actually extended it out all the way to 2100. And we can see that instead of continuing, it actually flattens out. Another way to see that is through this rate of population growth. And you can see that in the 60s, that reached a pretty high number, over 2% per year, and it's now come way, way down. Now, 11 billion people, still a lot, but the good news is that the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down, and so we can feel great about saving those lives.
What is psychopath? What is psychopath? What is psychopath? Bill Gates says, if you don't understand what he's talking about there, Bill Gates says, what amazingly discovered is that as we increase health, the quality of health of people, what happens? The population declines instead of increasing. And he's saying uh, he's very proud for saving lives. And he says in every country, this is the phenomenon. Logically, for everybody, it would make sense when people become healthier. We will have more people in the planet and we'll have more people having children. But Bill Gates says what he realizes that when he improves health, the population of the people that is improving health goes down. And that excites him because he's saving lives. Because all those people who were not born, who are not born, because he prevented them from getting born in Africa and in other areas that they don't want the population to increase. He's saying he saved lives. When the population declines in every country where he's giving health, he says he saved life because there was children who were supposed to be born in poverty, and those children are not born now. What does he put? What do they put in these things that they give to our women? What do they put in these things that they say it's for charity? Why this psychopath, when he increases his reach into Africa and to all developing countries, why is it that the health is the population of the country is going down? Europe is in a population crisis. Europe is in a population crisis. The population has been going down. Generally, the white population has been declining across the world. So, because of this, uh, they have a lot of fear about the black people at the end of the day dominating the planet. If they become equal to black people, the black people will dominate the planet because the population of the white people is declining and the population of black people is increasing. So in every part of the world where people exist, the population of black people is increasing and the population of uh, many nations is decreasing. So I want to share a video. This is the reason why I wanted to start sharing that video first. But let me share this one so that you can hear what is happening in Russia. So Russia, in deciding to fight against this kind of psychopath, because the population of Russia is in decline. In Russia, there's more. They say there's 10 million more women than men. So people are no more giving birth. Women are no more giving birth. More and more women are not giving birth to enough children, and more women are opting not to give birth. And that is a phenomenon which is happening across the world. Of course, motivated by several issues. One of the most important, it's the attack on the communities, on the developing countries, the health which has been weaponized against developing countries. So I want to share this.
Gays and liberals on the streets. I see men and women couples. I don't see transvestites. I don't see homeless people. This place is heaven on earth. I'm moving here forever.
And there's a lot of people who genuinely think that they're going to move to Russia and find themselves a Slavic trad wife or something. However, Russia has one problem that even Russian propaganda finds hard to conceal, and that is the fact that Russia is actually in a bit of a demographic crisis. First of all, the Institute of Family is not even that great in Russia to begin with. The amount of divorces and domestic violence in Russia is actually crazy. But also, Russia has a rapidly aging population, and a lot of people are either dying on the front line or trying to leave the country to not die on the front line. So all in all, Russia is actually currently very interested in raising the birth rates and making sure that more kids are born. I mean, let's take it from Vladimir Putin himself.
Вы знаете, если мы хотим сохраниться как этнос, ну или как этносы, населяющие Россию, ну, должно быть как минимум 2 ребенка. А если хотим ну а как же? Ну, 2 человека производят 2 детей, значит, количество людей остается прежним, не уменьшает. Если 1 ребенок, уменьшается же количество людей. А чтобы расширяться, развиваться, нужно хотя бы 3.
So yeah, you guys heard it from Vladimir Putin himself. If Russians are not gonna have 2 or 3 children per family, we're going to really disappear as an ethnicity. What can I say? This is really looking good. So, everybody, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how Russia is currently trying to fight its demographic crisis by essentially not only slowly trying to restrict abortions in Russia, but also by attacking the child-free movement. Yes, guys, you heard that correct. Now, what am I talking about exactly? Essentially, what is currently going on is that the Russian State Duma, the Russian parliament, is about to introduce a new law that is quote-unquote going to ban the propaganda of willingly abstaining from having children. Yes, literally. So here we actually have a post of Vyacheslav Volodin, the speaker of the Russian State Duma, on Telegram, on the ban of ideology of not having kids and the child-free movements. We have started looking at a new law that is banning propaganda of willingly abstaining from having children. What we're talking about here is to prevent spreading information that popularizes not having children. Yes, guys, this is real. They do not care anymore at all. On social media groups related to such movements, we can often see disrespect of motherhood and fatherhood, aggression towards
popularizing ideas that makes people not to have more children is banned in Russia. in the fight against psychopaths like Bill Gates. Russia have decided to ban the LGBT movement and label it as extremist and propaganda movement. Uh, so I'll continue to share this video. Let's listen in.
Pregnant women and children, as well as against members of large families, as well as disrespecting members of families with multiple children. The plan is to ban the propaganda of not having children in the internet, the mass media, movies, and advertisements, and also to consider such propaganda as an administrative offense. The fines for breaking this law will be up to 400,000 rubles for physical persons, up to 800,000 rubles for people in official positions, and up to 5 million rubles for essentially companies. These measures are similar to those that have been before conducted under your support, essentially when we banned propaganda of LGBT and transgender surgery. A big and a healthy family is the basis of a strong country. What do you guys think? Well, once again, I do have some thoughts that
A big and a healthy country, a healthy family is a foundation for a country. A country is formed by a family unit. So Russia have decided to ban the propaganda not to have children as a lifestyle for people for women. You know, as people, we need to decide as a country or as a community. We have to make a decision about our lives. We have to decide what is going to happen about our future, because whatever decisions that we make about us affects our future. If we make decisions to support extremist movements, if we make decisions to support uh, extremist ideas that will, at the end of the day, eliminate the population of black people, it will be so in the future. And if we make decisions that will expand the community or the population of black people, it will be so also in the future. So the decisions that we make are quite very important about ourselves. So Russia have decided to ban the LGBT movement and any idea that encourages people not to have children. It's banned in Russia. You could be in prison and go to jail for particular number of years for spreading propaganda and for supporting extremist movement. Who is funding all this organization? The LGBT movement is funded by one of the funders is Bill Gates. Bill Gates is one of the funders of the LGBT movements in order to reduce the world population, because his thinking is that when the world population increases, then poverty will increase, because the people whose population is increasing are those who've got no ability to make money, meaning black people are overpopulating the planet while they don't have means to make money. So they give birth to children into poverty. So to prevent black people from giving birth into poverty, giving birth to children into poverty, he decided to be a charitable man in Africa, to give health to African children and African women. This is not going well, because what he's saying, from what he's saying himself, He says wherever he's giving health, he reduces the population of that country. He says he's done it in several countries, and it's shocking the drop in the population in all the countries where he's practicing this nonsense. So the Russian government deciding to counter those propaganda issues and deciding to ensure that they ban it. I think this is the decisions that we need to really make about ourselves. I am for everybody to be whatever they want to be. If anybody wants to be gay, let them be. If anybody wants to be straight, let them be. If anybody wants feel like they are a woman, let them be. If anybody feel like they are a man, let them be. But there should not be any movement. Why should we form movement for things that are naturally existing? Why should we form a movement for straight men? That's a natural existence. Why do you need a movement for that? For anybody who is straight, why should you form a movement? That's why there's no movement for that. Even for any other sexual orientation, whatever orientation that you are, there should be no movement. There should be nobody funding anything in terms of sexuality of people. They, it should be a natural happening. It should be like hunger. It should happen like hunger. There should not be any movement to make people hungry or to allow people who are hungry to express themselves. Because the people who are hungry, they know they need to eat. That's how they need to express themselves. So there should not be any movement for LGBT or gays or whatever movement. There should not be any women movement, any movement. Why do we have movements on things that are just naturally happening? If it's naturally happening, let it happen naturally. Let it be. And let people exist the way they want to exist. I am for people to be free, but I'm against the movements, the funded movements to change the sexual orientation of black people, to confuse black children, and to confuse their sexuality through programming. That's what I am actually against, because this is what it is all about. It is all about confusing the sexuality of black people and reducing the population of developing countries.
Definitely. For example, that I find it hilarious that once again, Russia is a country that claims to respect families, respect family relationships and so on, and yet there are no laws preventing domestic violence. Nobody in Russia can officially be trialed for domestic violence. And I totally see how taking fathers, brothers, husbands from their families and mobilizing them and sending them to Ukraine also protects the Institute of Family in Russia. I can totally understand and see that. It is very, very logical. I definitely agree. Great job. So yes, this law is already about to be approved pretty much. I'm pretty sure it's going to be approved. It definitely falls in the line of all the recent bans that Russia has done with the LGBT ban and so on. If you guys are not aware, not that long ago, Russia has officially banned LGBT propaganda and propaganda of non-traditional relations in general. Before, Russia had a law where they only banned propaganda for children, and now it's banned in general. Like, you just cannot discuss anything LGBT related. And LGBT, in fact, is considered an extremist movement in Russia. And now, for example, in Russia, with this new censorship, if there's any scenes of same-sex relationships in like movies or books, they have to be either censored or removed completely. Yes, this is real. This is actually happening already. And it's absolutely insane. And this is what is going to happen with the child-free ideology now. Essentially now, if you're like an outspoken person online that says that, you know, I don't want to have kids, I'm a child-free guy, you know, I just want to take the time to myself or whatever. I don't want to have a family. Which is, you know, you can agree or not agree with that, but it's just, you know, somebody's position about their life. Like, who cares, right? Well, now in Russia, you'll be able to officially get fined for propaganda of not having children. Now you guys might have a question. What is exactly going on here? Why is Russia doing this? Well, the thing is, this new law is really only the tip of the iceberg, and Russia is definitely doing a lot right now to try to convince people to give more births, to have more children, and to never consider having an abortion or anything like that. Once again, because a lot of people are leaving Russia, a lot of people are dying on the front line, the population is old, and hey, Russia needs more kids. We need you to have more kids so that when they turn 18, we can mobilize them for yet another new war that is coming up. For the greatness of Russia, of course. Give me a break. And actually, recently, a ton of cringy politicians in Russia essentially have been saying a lot of nonsense about how Russian women should not think about, like, any of their personal needs and just be an incubator to create more kids for Russia. This story is about a deputy of the State Duma from the Sverdlovsk region of Russia, Zhanna Ryabtseva, who has publicly stated during a live TV appearance that women should not freeze their eggs. What am I talking about, dude? This is insane. But act like people did in the old times and just give birth, and once again, give birth. We need to start forming families as early as in college because the best families are students. And then you can also give birth at 18 or 19 years old, when you already know that the person that is next to you is the person that is going to be with you for your entire life. So that one is great. So for example here, the senator of the Russian Federation Council, which is also like a part of the Russian government, from the Chelyabinsk region, this is my hometown by the way, my hometown region, Margarita Pavlova has called for young women to reorient themselves from trying to get a higher education to giving birth. And here's the quote: we need to try to give women the goal of trying to get a higher education. We need to stop endlessly creating young people that get a higher education and then that higher education basically leads to nothing. They either start work in some other type of field or something else, and then this search of self starts going on for many years, and essentially you are no longer able to give birth. And she's essentially saying here that women in Russia
if we decide otherwise, or if we don't decide as people, we are going to go is extinct. If women decide not to give birth, if more women decide not to give birth, we are going to go extinct, because what will happen? We need more children in order to continue occupy this planet. So Russia have made that decision, a conscious decision, to ensure that they reprogram the Russian people in a way that will allow the population of Russia to increase. Because at the moment, the programming of the people is such that they should prioritize education and career above having children, which is nonsensical in reality, because the most powerful resource that you can find in the planet, the most powerful resource, the single most powerful resource in the planet is human beings. Everything is about the people. Everything happens because of the people. The gold is given value because by the people. Every other resources that exist in the planet is consumed by people. So people are very important resource in the planet. because people are consumers, people are creators. So people are the most important resource of the planet. And people are the most important resource of every family. The important resource is not the certificate that you get from university if you are a woman. If you are a woman, you need to create life around you which will support you and take care of you as you get older, which will help you to build your own economy. So we need to decide as uh, human beings the direction that human beings wants to take. If we want to take the route of extinction, of which some psychopaths have put most of the developing world into, or we can turn around and just like Russia did, ban the propaganda. When the white people arrived in Africa, they found that uh, all the African families were run by kings and queens. Africa was the land of kings and queens. Africa was the land of massive and big families. The earlier population understood that they needed to work together, and they understood that human resources are actually the most important to have in the planet. These days, people think houses are the most important resource and cars are the most important resource to have in the planet. But who will consume those things if human beings are not there? Who's going to buy the cars if the human beings are not there? If you are a woman, who's going to take care of you in your old age, when you've got no capacity to take care of yourself? Who's going to help you when you are sick if you don't create a community around you which will support your mission? Creating a community or creating families is the job of the woman, because the God has given the woman the ability to multiply. So because God has given the woman the ability to multiply, women are supposed to go on and create children and fill the planet. If the women decide otherwise, the planet will be depopulated. So this time around, the psychopath, the people who come in the name of charity and saying they want to improve the health of African women and African children, giving them chemicals that kills their reproductive system and encourages lifestyle that reduces the population of families, in turn reducing the population of countries. Russia countering that, fighting against it, banning the LGBT community as an extremist movement, and showing signs, even showing signs of such movement, and banning any other statement uh, that encourages people not to have children. You could be arrested and be sent to jail for 4 years for saying things that discourages women to have children in Russia. Because as we speak now, there's more 10 million women more than men in Russia. Men are no more there. Men are not available. And the LGBT community comes and encourage Russian men to become gays. Vladimir Putin realizing that this is an attack on the community, on his land. This is intended to reduce his population to almost a manageable size by the Europeans. They want the population to be manageable, the population of the nations that they are looting resources from. They need the population to be manageable. So Africa is one land which is youthful. Africa is one land where children are still getting born. And Africa is the only land in which um, um, there's more young people than old people. Europe and America, the populations are getting older, and young people are no more giving birth to children. The older people cannot give birth to children, and the younger people are opting not to have more children. So the world is in a crisis, will be in a crisis, population crisis, very, very soon. Let me continue and share this video. Let's listen in.
Russia historically have been, doing a lot of things that men have been doing, and women in Russia are basically too obsessed with their career, and that they need to focus not on these, artificial made-up goals. They need to give more kids to Russia. For example, another one here, Minister of Health of the Primorsky Krai has called for women to give birth to children while taking breaks from work. You should give birth to as many children as God gives you. And here the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia on social policy, Tatyana Golikova, has called for Russian women to give birth to their first child before 24 years old, because the time while you can give children is very limited. And before I discuss this entire thing, I want to show you guys one video that went viral and that is insanely cringe. It's a Russian TV host essentially talking about more of the same.
Еще наши прабабушки, да, они просто, ну сколько было детей в семье? Родила, в поле положила, дальше косить и покормила, и тут же дальше продолжила работать. Мы на какой-то момент это потеряли, но сейчас мы быстро это возвращаем. Почему? Ну потому что невозможно просто каким-то западным влиянием взять и тебя от твоего культурного кода избавить. Не получится.
Nice. Nice. So yes, absolutely beautiful. It's this out-of-touch TV host who at some kind of forum or whatever was talking about how we need to once again bring back traditional Russian values and so on, because she is also just a grifter who's like in the Russian media scene, so she's obviously super Z and patriotic right now, super traditional like everybody else, because everybody's trying to fit in with the, the governmental propaganda and their overall vision of the trad-based Russia, right? And yeah, this video here went very viral and actually became infamous and actually hurt her reputation a lot, because Russian women who heard that, we need to go back to, essentially women not having any rights, and to a situation where women had to work in the field and do whatever grueling work that they were forced to do by, the Soviet Union, right? The industrialization or whatever. And the work was so hard that they would just, give birth right there in the field and then just continue working right the same day. Hearing that from a woman who once again is very privileged and rich and gives birth in the best conditions possible is hilarious. And also, the entire issue with all these things that I just showed you guys, right, is that Russian women are really not gonna take this very easily. The Soviet Union at certain points in history was actually more progressive as far as women's...
Yeah, this is what is happening. The population of the planet is in crisis. The population of the planet, Europe is even worse. Europe is getting older and Africa is getting younger. It has got a geopolitical impact. This issue is too huge, it's too big. It has to be attended. We need to pay attention. People have to pay attention to this issue. The food that people eat changes the hormonal system of men, because it's a lot of GMO food, lot of toxic food into the body. The food that people eat in South Africa, or in most countries in Africa these days, it's toxic. It disturbs the hormonal system of the body. Men secretes more female hormones, and so so that they are not as productive in terms of making children, to reduce the population of black people. So there's an attack, and also they make sure that there's these movements that are sponsored, that they sponsor into Africa, and there's also sicknesses that they bio weapons that they are using, sicknesses like the HIV, which they use against African people, Ebola, lots of different kind of sicknesses, the drugs that they are using against Africans in the health system to destroy their population. Africans have to decide, just like what Russia have decided. Black people need to decide, just like Russia have decided. Because what is happening is, as the population of the white men is in decline, is in chaos, the population of black people is continuing to increase. So they are trying to fight that habit. So in South Africa, one of the most important things that happened, in actual fact, that President Zuma has implemented in order to encourage women to have children, was to introduce the social grant for children. People, women or young women who find themselves with children without support from their husbands or families. President Zuma introduced a social grant to take care of those children. I think President Zuma was intentional about it. It was about countering the population. It was about incentivizing women for having children. It was about that. It was about giving support to women who are still willing to have children, because at the end of the day, uh, the community is about people, and people start from children. If we're not giving birth to children, then we will not be able to have what we call communities. More of the land will be free for the greedy to occupy, without any without having to fight anybody. It would be easier for them to grab without having to do anything. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mgonum Content. This is the Royal Opinion. Thank you very much for joining and for listening in up to this far. This is the end of the live stream.